I had the strangest experience this morning. And honestly, I debated even bringing it up with you because on paper, it sounds like absolutely nothing happened. If I tried to explain it to someone, a rational, busy person, they'd probably just shrug. But I can't shake it. It's really sticking with me.
Those are usually the moments that matter, aren't they? The ones that slip past the radar of our, quote, rational minds, but snag on something deeper. So tell me, what happened?
Well, I was out walking. It was early, just past dawn. You know that specific hush the city has before the engines really start up?
Oh, I do. It's fragile.
So fragile. And the pavement was still damp. It must have rained overnight. And the air smelled like wet concrete and, I think, yeast, like bread from a bakery somewhere.
That time of day feels like a secret. Like the world hasn't quite put its armor on yet.
Exactly. And usually I'm rushing through it. I'm usually the one putting the armor on. But today, for some reason, I was just observing. Everyone I passed was moving like shadows. Shoulders hunched, eyes glued to the floor or their phones. And I caught myself doing it too. Mentally, I was already in my inbox.
The monkey mind in full swing, swinging from the branch of the past to the branch of the future, never really touching the ground.
Right. And then it happened. A stranger passed me. Just a face in the crowd. But for a split second, we made eye contact, and they smiled.
A smile, that's the event.
That's how it sounds, just a smile. But it wasn't a customer service smile. It wasn't that polite, tight-lipped thing we do. It wasn't a performance. It was just a quiet, accidental upturn of the lips. And here's the thing. I felt like the ground shifted.
Shifted how?
Like the noise of the city just dropped away.
Yeah.
For that 1 second, the timeline broke. I felt seen. Not judged, not categorized, or seen. Why on earth did something so small, so fleeting, feel so monumental?
It's interesting you use that phrase, the timeline broke.
Yeah.
Because what you encountered wasn't just a facial expression. In the Zen tradition, we might call that a Koan in motion.
A Koan. I've heard that term. It's like a riddle, right? What's the sound of one hand clapping?
Superficially, yes.
Yeah.
But a Koan is really a tool designed to exhaust the analytical mind. It's a puzzle logic can't solve. The mind chews on it, breaks its teeth, and eventually gives up. And in that moment of surrender, you fall into pure experience. Think about what actually happened on that street. Usually, we place people in a box: friend, foe, boss, stranger.
Right, it's efficient. We categorize to survive.
Precisely. But this person, they defied the categories.
Yeah, they weren't a friend. I don't know them at all. But they didn't feel like a stranger either. It was weirdly intimate.
And that is the paradox. It's a connection that requires no contact. It speaks without words. Think about how we usually operate socially. Most of our interactions are, well, transactional.
Oh, totally, like micro-negotiations.
Yeah.
I say, how are you? You say, good, you. It's a script.
Exactly. It's a tiny social debt. We're constantly trading these debts back and forth. But that stranger's smile, it carried no debt. It didn't ask you for a conversation. It didn't ask for your name. It didn't even really ask for a smile back.
That's a key distinction. It felt complete. That's the word. It didn't feel like the start of a story that got cut off.
Yes. It is a complete sentence, a full stop, a moment of pure attention. And because it asks nothing of you, it gives you everything. The freedom to simply be in that moment. No role to play.
I think that's why it felt like such a relief. For a second, I wasn't me with my to-do list and my anxieties. I was just there.
And that is the silence Zen speaks of. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of undivided awareness. In that split second, the hard boundary between you and them just softened.
It makes me think about how much energy I spend chasing connection. We're told it's this big, heavy thing, deep confessions, knowing someone's whole history.
We mistake information for intimacy. We think, if I know your backstory, I know you. But that's just data. You can know everything about a person and still not be connected to them in the present moment.
But it's so ordinary. That's what trips me up. It was just a person on the street. If this is enlightenment, shouldn't it be louder?
But that is the trap, isn't it? We are addicted to the spectacular. We want fireworks. We want a burning bush. There's a classic Zen story about this. It cuts right to the heart of this ordinariness.
Okay, I'm listening.
A student travels for months, desperate for wisdom. He finally finds the great master and asks, "Master, please, what is the essence of enlightenment?"
And the master hands him some cryptic scroll.
The master looks up from sweeping the floor and asks, "Have you eaten your rice porridge?" The student, confused, says, "Yes, I have." The master says, "Then wash your bowl."
Wash your bowl. That's it.
And that's it. That's the teaching.
See, if I were that student, I'd be annoyed. That sounds dismissive. Like, go away, kid, I'm busy.
It feels that way to the ego, doesn't it? The ego wants a 12-step plan to nirvana. But the master was giving him the only real answer. Enlightenment isn't in some abstract theory, it is in the now. It is in the act of washing the bowl fully, quietly, without wishing you were somewhere else.
So if we map that onto my morning, the stranger was basically telling me to wash my bowl.
In a way,
The
stranger was the bell ringing to wake you up. He said you were walking like a ghost, lost in your head. That smile pierced the veil. It pulled you out of the abstract future and dropped you right back into the concrete present.
It's true. One minute I was worrying about a 2 p.m. call, and the next I was just standing on a wet sidewalk, feeling the air.
That is what we might call horizontal depth.
Horizontal depth. I've never heard that. Depth is usually down, digging.
Exactly. We think of depth as vertical digging into the past, analyzing trauma, and that has its place. But depth can also be horizontal, a single plane of attention stretched perfect across a single second. Think of sunlight hitting a pond.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The light stays on the surface, right? But in that surface reflection, it illuminates the entire pond. It makes the whole thing glow. That smile was horizontal depth. Brief, surface level, yet infinite in its width because it was total.
That's a beautiful image. But it's confusing because we're taught that surface level is an insult. Shallow.
Shallow is when you are distracted,
Yep.
fractured. But if you are totally present with the surface, think of the Japanese tea ceremony. It becomes profound. When the tea master pours the water, they aren't thinking about anything else. There is no me pouring and you watching. There's just the pouring.
So the stranger wasn't smiling at me. There was just smiling.
Exactly. Unmediated by agenda. Pure presence.
I have to ask, though, why that person? Why this morning? I pass hundreds of people every day. I must have seen smiles before. Why did this one land so hard?
That is the million-dollar question. And we tend to think the magic came from the stranger. But I would argue the variable wasn't them.
It was me.
The smile wasn't special because of the stranger. It was special because you were awake enough to receive it.
I don't know if I felt awake before it happened. I felt tired and grumpy, like a zombie.
But there was a crack in the armor, maybe the quiet of the dawn. Maybe you were just exhausted enough to stop fighting for a moment. You were available. The stranger's smile was a mirror. It reflected your own potential for presence back to you.
A mirror. So I was seeing my own capacity for connection.
Yes. There is a foundational story about the Buddha that touches on this perfectly. The Flower Sermon. Are you familiar?
The name sounds familiar, but refresh my memory.
The Buddha gathers his disciples for a sermon, and instead of speaking, he simply holds up a white flower. Just holds it there in absolute silence.
I can imagine the tension, people waiting for the lecture to start.
Exactly. They were analyzing, what does the flower represent? Impermanence, purity. They were thinking about the flower. But one monk, Mahakashapa, just looked at the flower and smiled. In that moment, the Buddha knew the teaching had been received. The transmission happened through resonance, not words.
So the understanding was vibrating at the same frequency.
Precisely. The stranger on the street held up the flower this morning. The smile was the flower. You didn't analyze it, at least not in the moment. You just caught it. You resonated with the aliveness of it.
It felt like, okay, this might sound a bit woo-woo, but it felt like they didn't just smile at me. It felt like the smile went through me.
That is a profound insight. And it's not woo-woo at all. It's the mechanics of consciousness. We are all waves in the same ocean. When that stranger smiled, their aliveness overflowed.
It wasn't directed at you specifically. It was just humanity spilling over, and you happened to be the space where it landed.
I was the space where it landed. That makes me feel less like a protagonist in a movie and more like a vessel.
A participant in co-creation. You see, connection doesn't happen between two separate people. It happens within the field of awareness you both inhabit. You co-created that moment. If you had been looking at your phone, the smile would have happened physically, but the event would not have occurred.
That's actually kind of terrifying. How many flowers have been held up that I just didn't see?
Thousands, maybe millions.
No. But the point isn't to feel guilty about the ones you missed. That's just more thinking. The point is to realize that the flowers are always being held up.
So the world is constantly smiling at us.
In a manner of speaking, the world is constantly offering invitations to return to the now. A bird flying past, the sound of a car horn. These are all the flower.
So if I accept that this moment was real and sacred, does it change anything? Practically. I still have bills. The stranger is gone.
It's a valid question. We want our epiphanies to fix our lives. But true insight isn't about attaining a new state you keep forever. It's about lifting a veil.
The veil being my thoughts, my stress.
The veil of stories, the story that you are separate, the story that you are lacking something, the story that you need to get somewhere else to be happy. In that moment of the smile, those stories just fell away, didn't they?
Yeah. There was no story, just the moment. I didn't need anything.
And that reveals that reality, when unadorned, is holy. Meaning isn't something you build, it's revealed in the spaces between the noise.
It makes me think about how I walk through the world. I usually walk with my shield up. Don't talk to me, I'm busy.
We all do. We think armor is strength.
But if I walked differently,
Yeah.
if I walked with that same softness I felt this morning.
That is the universal smile. If
Yeah.
you walk with openness, eyes soft, chest unclenched, the world tends to reflect that back. The city doesn't change. The observer becomes available.
It's like tuning a radio.
Yeah.
The music is always there, but I'm usually just listening to static because my dial is stuck on me, me, me.
And you realized this morning that connection was never something you had to go out and find. It was always something to notice.
That's a huge shift. From hunting to noticing. Hunting implies scarcity. Noticing implies abundance.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off, doesn't it? You don't have to manufacture a meaningful life. You just have to witness the one that is already unfolding.
It does. But it also adds a responsibility, a quiet one, to actually look.
To be the witness.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be the one who smiles back at the flower.
You know, I've been trying to figure out what to do with this feeling all day. Should I write about it? Should I try to find the stranger?
To freeze a dewdrop, if you try to grab it, you crush it. The beauty of the moment was its impermanence.
Right. If it stayed, it would just become another thing I had to manage, another thing to lose.
A moment untouched by clinging remains whole.
It's funny, I started this asking why something so small felt so significant. And I think the answer is that it wasn't small. The smile was just the delivery mechanism for everything.
The smile that contains the universe.
Yeah. It sounds dramatic, but it felt so simple. Just plink, like a drop of rain.
And now that you've felt it, you can't unfeel it. You'll get distracted again. We all do. But you know the flavor of being awake now. You have a reference point.
And I could look for it again. Not the same stranger, but the next flower.
Or hold up the flower yourself.
Right. I can be the one smiling.
And maybe someone else, walking in their own fog of worry, will look up and be shifted by you. The ripple continues.
That's a nice thought. We're all just waking each other up, one accidental smile at a time. It makes the city feel less like a battlefield
Yeah.
and more like a very messy, loud monastery.
A very messy monastery. I like that.
Before we close this, I feel like you have something to leave us with. A thought to send us back out into the noise.
I do. A final Koan to carry around in your pocket.
Lay it on me. I'm ready.
We've talked about the stranger smiling and you receiving it. But consider this. If a smile appears on a stranger's face and no one is present to receive it, does it still happen?
Like the tree falling in the forest.
Deeper than that, is the smile a physical act of muscles? Or is it only complete when it is witnessed by the heart?
Yeah. Makes my brain hurt a little. It blurs the line between me and the other person again.
Good. Don't try to answer it. Just live with the question.
Okay.
And the next time a smile comes your way like rain on dry earth, don't think, just let it land.
Just let it land.
The whole world is smiling if only you are awake enough to notice.
I'll keep my eyes open.
And your bowl washed.
And my bowl washed. Thanks for walking through this with me.
It was a pleasure to share the sidewalk.